The main reason why I'm in front of you is because I've simply found something that I believe I'm good at, and I've given myself time to master my craft. And that's the only reason why I'm the one who's being invited to speak to you. Now, don't misinterpret that for anything. Anyone can be here, but the question is, what do you have that the other people don't have? What do you know that other people don't know? I'd appreciate it if you can just lend me a few minutes of your time, my sister. I know you've got a lot to say, but if you don't mind, I just want to do what I'm doing, and then I'll leave, and then you can have her attention, because I actually want her to hear what I'm talking about. Thank you. Now, I would ask you to put your left hand up. Just lift your left hand and your right hand. Now, if I say go, just join the two, all right? Go. Okay, one didn't do it. Let's do it one more time. Go. All right, now I've got your attention, and that was you clapping hands for me, for being in front of you, just for taking my time and coming to speak to you. Now, I'm here to talk about entrepreneurship and project management. That's something that we hear about quite often in several environments that we go on. We are on social media. We are the most awake generation, you know. We are the ones that made people like Mark Zuckerberg billionaires because of our activities on social media. But the fun part of it is the same social media that we are using to make other people billionaires is also the same social media we can use to make ourselves billionaires. Now, I believe entrepreneurship is different from being a business person now. Entrepreneurship is defined from various methods, but being a business person is another thing. You can be a project manager and run a business. You can be a medical doctor and run a business. You can also be a business person and earn more than a medical doctor. I believe a lot of us here growing up, your parents had a specific career path they wanted you to take, but you probably didn't choose that, right? And they wanted you to choose that particular path because of mainly two things. Number one, it could be socio-economic status. Every parent wants to have a child who's having that white-collar job that they're proud of saying, my son is a doctor, my son is a nurse, something like that. Every parent has that dream. But not every child gives the parent that dream. Second reason why you might have a parent having that specific job they wanted you to be is because maybe of the money that it comes with. So many people want their kids to be doctors and nurses, whatever, you name it, engineers, simply because of the money that is attached to that job title. Now, you can still earn more than a doctor while you are not a doctor and employ doctors. That is what entrepreneurship and business is all about, as well as project management. You can be a project manager for a time like this where COVID just came by surprise. And there be need that we need to start testing people. The people who are going to test these people are people who are qualified to be called nurses or whatever that they're called, but they have qualifications. I might not have those qualifications, but I might have the project management skill, and I can get a job to manage these people who have qualifications. The first business I ran when I was 19 in Johannesburg was a transport and logistics business. All we did was what Uber is doing. This was in 2016. And I was 19. The reason why I'm not in that business is because I was not innovative. I just relaxed and thought, because I have a customer and I'm a service provider, I'm getting money in, that's all I needed. I thought servicing my vehicles and paying my salaries was all I needed for my business to stay afloat. But Uber came in and showed me flames because they were innovative. How many of you remember the story of Kodak? We used to take camera photos back in the days. I don't know if some of you were already born, but back in the days we used to take photos with what they call films, and to go and print the films, you know. It's something that couldn't be done from just one device by one person. You needed someone else to get the process complete. But did you know now we can take a photo in this room, print it, and put it in a frame before I finish speaking? So the reason why Kodak is no longer effective or relevant is simply because of innovation. Did you hear that? Oh, we've got late bloomers. It's okay, we've got late bloomers, it's all right. As long as you got the point. Now, the reason why they are not relevant now is because some people now would rather take photos with their cell phones rather than using that digital camera right there. Simply because the cell phone industry is upgrading and staying innovative enough to know that very soon we won't have space in our pockets to put these cameras, because they are going to cause, if I walk with that camera, I'm at a risk of being robbed. But that camera is not as expensive as the phone. So I would rather have a phone that does everything. What am I driving your attention to? I'm simply asking your attention to focus on one thing called innovation. As a business person, as a project manager, as an entrepreneur, whatever it is you call yourself, as an employee, if you're not innovative, you'll die poor. And by dying poor, I'm not saying you won't have clothes to wear. I'm not saying you'll be begging on the streets. I'm saying you'll literally wait for someone else to give you money to do something. That's poverty to me. Poverty is being able to not think outside the box and do something and let someone else give you money and you pay someone else. So as a project manager, as an entrepreneur, let it be your zeal, let it be your key point of focus to try and ask yourself, what am I doing that my other competitor is not doing best? Because what I can tell you, whatever you are studying in this room now, when you leave, you are competitors. Because the same opportunities you all want to fight for are the same opportunities that the opportunity you want is the same opportunity he wants. So it's a question of what are you going to do much better than the rest of the people in this room. That's the most important factor. Now, I've written a few characteristics here. If I really want to do justice to your time, I can come up with a presentation and explain to you, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here to share with you a story about a guy who's in front of you and explain to you, I've not made it yet, but I'm on my way to making it. The next time you'll know about me, you'll see me at a different level. I might not be able to come the way I came. He asked me to come and I came. But next time I might not be able to do that. Why? Because I'm going to get some protocols in place because my brand is growing. The reason why it grows is I'm staying innovative. We've moved away from, if you remember back then, people would come and do presentations and there's a microphone that is being held or there's a boom mic. We've moved away. I'm speaking, but the sound that I'm speaking is being recorded separately from that camera and there are no wires. That's a sign of transformation. So in your area of expertise, in your line of work, whatever that you are aspiring to be, my question is, what are you going to do different? What are you doing in 2021 with the mentality of wanting it to exist and be effective 5 years from now? Because if the business you are going to run from today is not relevant 5 years from now, don't run it. Sit down, think about your idea. Because the time it will take for you to take the idea into execution, putting it on plan and executing it, that process, someone else will have innovated something new about the same concept you're trying to do. I'll give you an example. So some of you perhaps know about a garage called Puma, which is on your way to Bloom, just not far from Diamond Pavilion Mall. So a couple of days ago, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who runs a business in the motor repair industry. He does a panel beating. That's what they do. So I'm telling him and I say to him, you work with a lot of truck drivers. Where do you think I can find a truck stop? Because I'm not really from Kimberley, so I wouldn't know. And he says to me, the truck stop you can find is the one at Puma. It's not a legal truck stop, but there's a legal truck stop on your way to Johannesburg just after the Shell garage. And I say to him, I'm thinking that maybe my wife should not come and work with me. Maybe she should start selling food to the truck drivers. I want to show you something. And from that conversation, this is last week. It was on a Sunday evening. Monday morning, his wife started selling food to the truck drivers. Now, I want to show you something. We had a conversation Sunday evening. I haven't even told my wife the feedback I got from him yet. Now, I meet someone else on Wednesday in town, and they say to me, your friend's wife is actually selling food at truck stops. That idea is brilliant. How do you think I felt? This guy has been in Kimberley for more than 10 years. That truck stop has been there for more than 10 years. He's never thought about it. Then I think about it, and before I execute it, someone jumps on board. Now you laughed and it sounded not fair, right? But that's how the world is. You are being thrown into a place where everyone has the right to do anything. So, why am I giving you this? Because the same idea you have today, if you don't start putting efforts and you give an excuse, because this is one of the most common excuses, if we give everyone the floor in here to tell us what ideas do you have and how do you plan on executing them, one of the biggest problems we'll hear is, I'm waiting to finish the course that I'm doing. So you are waiting. Now, my question is, how many people, I just want one person to tell me, how many people do you think are in Kimberley? Just a random estimate. Now, the reason why I asked that specific question is you cannot get into the business world. You don't even know the status of census. You don't even know how many people are in the area, the demographics of the place you live in. How are you going to do business? How are you going to know how many products you need to sell? So it's important for you. I'll give you a rough estimate. It is estimated, this is based on the census from 2016, that in Kimberley, we have an average of about 135,000 within the city. We are not talking about Berkeley West, we're talking about Kimberley. Right, so if we've got that crazy number, how many people do you think went to the same school that you went to? Let's give or take 50%. Right, out of the 50%, how many do you think are not working right now? 45, perfect. Out of the 45%, how many do you think need to start a business or have an idea of starting a business? 40%, great. Now, out of that 40%, what makes you think they are all going to sit and wait for you to finish this course and not identify that opportunity? Just a thought. It's something I thought about when I was here now. Because every time I stand in front of people, I'm a public speaker by profession. One of the most things that pay me more than anything, yes, I have several investments that I focus my time and resources on, but what pays me more is what I'm doing now. So whenever I'm standing in front of people, you are seeing a public speaker, I'm seeing a customer, I'm thinking about what can I sell, because when I'm looking at you, if I sell something to all of you now, I can live with more than $100, which I didn't come in with. So my focus as an entrepreneur, as a business person, my focus is, what can I sell? Right now I'm trying to ask myself, do these people get stipends? You know, how much do they have? Simply because I want to sell something. So, yeah, we have to laugh. It's important, you know, it's healthy. Now, the reason why I'm looking at you as customers is because one thing I've learned, money is what we need as business people. I want money, I love money, right? But where is the money? In your pockets. How many times do you buy airtime a month? So, if I think about something that you will need as much as you need airtime, will it be difficult for me to make money? So what are we lacking as young people? We are lacking the drive, the zeal to think outside the box. Which box? We are in the classroom and you hear 85% of you guys are waiting to finish the course that you're doing for you to start a business. Whereas all of you come here, some of you bring their scaftons, but some don't. If I bring something that you guys can eat after having a course, am I not going to be having more money than the people I was in the same classroom with? Does it make sense? There are some business ideas for some clever people, but now here's your problem. You're going to have an influx of people who are going to think about the same thing. So how do you outsmart the competition? Innovation. Not only innovation, because someone is asking, how can I be innovative in the food industry? You see, those chicken feet that people sell, we can have 5 different stands or 5 different recipes of how those chicken feet can be sold. One person can sell a fat cake with some chicken feet on the side. The money they will live with is not the same amount of money a person who's just buying chicken feet is going to live with, simply because we're different people and we have different choices. So I might have given you a business idea, but what is left is the drive for you to put the idea into action. What are you doing different? Here is what you can do different. Number one, for you to be an entrepreneur, you need to be a risk taker. For you to be a good project manager, you need to be a risk taker. For you to be a good business person, what is a business person? A business person is a person who has the ability to sell something for a value that is greater than its original price. Simple. There's nothing more, nothing less. If you can sell me this bottle of sanitizer for a better price than what you've bought it for, you're a business person. You are not an entrepreneur. Don't get it wrong. An entrepreneur is a person who identifies a problem and creates a solution to that particular problem. If I sell you this bottle of sanitizer, I have not done anything entrepreneurial. All I've done is I've done something that has to do with business. Why? Because this has already been designed by someone. But what can I do to be an entrepreneur? What I can do is to think of a way of how can I sanitize the whole body of a person so that they don't have to put, because so many people hate right now. If you want to make money, think of how can sanitizers be used such that it's not sprayed in my hands. Because if I walk into a shop and that gel is here, I just feel annoyed, And have you seen how those security guards like to spray so much of it in your hands, That is annoying. But if you sit there and you think now of what is it that you can do to solve that problem, you are an entrepreneur. But if you simply go and buy sanitizers in Johannesburg where they're selling maybe a 50 liter for 50 rand and you come and pack it and sell it for 20 rand, you're not being an entrepreneur. All you're doing is running a business. Now, why am I sharing this information with you? One of the dilemmas that I've picked up, don't get me wrong, don't take this offensive. One of the dilemmas we have in Kimberley, this is a secret. We have so many people who want to do the same thing. How many people do you know of that have started their own clothing brand? Now my question is, if we all start our own clothing brands, who's going to start something to do with how we can wash the clothes? Because we all have clothes. I'll give you an example. Just to drive your focus away from that so that you don't take offense. Let's assume that let's not assume. I've got a friend who called me yesterday. He's got a farm and he does produce a lot of things. Now, one of the products they produce is tomatoes. He wants to give me tomatoes at a very reasonable price. So if I go to Johannesburg and I buy a truckload of tomatoes at a very cost-effective rate, bring them to Kimberley, because nowadays in Kimberley, if you want to buy a packet of tomatoes on the street, it's 10 rand for 3 tomatoes, if not 2. Now, so if I can sell 5 tomatoes for 10 rand and still make a profit, what I need is people, right? Now, here's another problem we have in Kimberley. Not only in Kimberley, but with everybody who wants to start a business. We forget that we need people to buy our products. So if I bring that truckload of tomatoes, put it up in my lock-up garage, shut the garage door, lock the gate, and I don't leave the house for 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 1 week, what do you think happens after a week? Come again? Yes, that's the answer I'm looking for. My tomatoes will get rotten simply because I failed to recognize the importance of people around me. Now, here's another thing you can do. Build better relationships with the people around you, because what it takes for you to be an entrepreneur or a business person or a good project manager is the word I mentioned, risk-taking. What is risk-taking? Risk-taking is saying, I have an idea. I want to sell something that is going to cost $100. Okay, it's a gamble, because for someone to take out $100 and buy one thing, it needs to be really good in Kimberley. So what I'll do is I'll look for a product that is under 10 rand. Because if there's one thing that people have money for, is things that are cheap. So if I find something that is under 10 rand, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce it into the market. When it's introduced into the market, I am buying goodwill from the people around me. Once I buy goodwill from the people around me, the benefit of that is the moment I will introduce a product that costs 100 rand, the people already know me. I am a brand that people trust. If I come and sell you a copy of my book for 100 rand now, you can buy it. Why? Because we've already built a relationship. I made you laugh a couple of times. You have related to some of the things. Actually, you said you know people who are building their own clothing brands. I'm speaking sense to you. There's a lot of things that I've said that makes you feel, yeah, this guy speaks sense. So now if I sell you a copy of my book, you might buy that book simply because you found value. She's taking notes of whatever I'm saying. I don't know what she's writing, but she's finding value in it. So if she sees that I have a book, it's easy for her to pay 150 Rand or 100 Rand to buy a copy of my book. But if I walk in and I just say, hi guys, I'm selling a copy of my book, no one is going to buy because they don't know me. They know nothing about me. That's the same with you. Don't go into the market world, don't go into the corporate world and want people to buy a product that is expensive, yet they don't know you. People don't buy products, they buy people. Are you a sellable person? Now ask the person next to you, can you be sold? Right. Now let me give you a second characteristics. One of the problems that we have is I'm out of time, but let me just give you a few points that I want to leave you with. The second thing is decision making. One of the biggest problems you find in areas where people are not rich, because one thing I can tell you, in Kimberley we're not rich, but I hope we will be rich because of people like you who have time to listen to other people speak, and they use the conversations that were being made to effective use, and they make money. So that can make us rich, because right now, if you leave this room and I come back next week and you haven't made more money than what you've made in your life, then you're not being smart. You've got the information, let's make use of it. One of the problems we have, Cheslin, you know what? People like to listen when people are speaking. And you know what they will say? Yes, this guy. Now, after saying that, when they leave the door, they are leaving the mentality of, yay, this guy in that room. When they come back next time, they totally forgot what happened. So what am I saying? Decision making is one of our problems in Kimberley. Why? This is one of the provinces you find that so many people will say, if you discuss an idea with them, I'll let you know. One thing that is making me different, oh sorry, I think it's my phone, you can just drop it, I'll call them back. Yes, what happens is in Kimberley, if I come up with an idea and I share with you, I want to do business with you, I want to do this, 99.99999%, she's going to want to think about it. Yeah. And that is what makes other people poor. Some of the things we need to think about are not worth thinking about. So we are focusing our attention thinking about things we don't really need to think about. What we know that is being thought about over time is, if I ask you out, you need to think about it. I mean, it's normal, right? Yeah, you can't just say, I love you too. You have to think about it, right? But business is based on instincts and knowledge, right? There's a saying that says money flees from people who invested in things they are not familiar with. So if you choose the right segment of business that you understand, if I understand Magwinya, I must not go and buy the kori, the chicken feet. I must stay in my lane of Magwinya. So if people come with me with investments or ideas that have to do with Magwinya, do I need to think about it? No, because I know it. So what we lack is a caliber of people who have ideas, who know what they really want to invest their time in. Why does she need to think about a business idea I pitched to her? Because she doesn't have a good decision-making choice, not you. It's an example. Now, if you focus on what you're good at, you will know that if someone comes to me, if Chase comes to me now and say, I've got an idea, let's start a workshop. If I say yes, it's the entrepreneur in me that is saying yes. Because I'm not interested in fixing cars. So if I say yes, I'm saying yes because I'm trusting someone else who's in that area. Now, I want you to leave this room with the ability to say no and to say yes. Learn to say yes when you need to say yes, no when you need to say no. It's not wrong for me to pitch my business idea to Chaz and he says no. It's just not what he wants to do. But what is wrong is for me to tell him I want to think about it when I know that this is not my line of. Now, why am I saying we're focusing our energy on wrong decision-making choices? Is because so many ideas, think about it, how many times have you had people tell you something, even not a business idea, and you say you will think about it, or you will let them know. When deep down in your heart, you know this is not your, it's not your piece of cake. Now, you've wasted that entrepreneur's time. That's the same thing that will happen to you. You're going to go and pitch an idea to someone else who's got no interest in that field. And they will say, I'll give you feedback on Monday. Maybe it's Monday, and they'll give you feedback on Monday. A hell of a week where you're waiting for feedback. That's what you will get in Kimberley. I'm telling you now. Go and try and pitch ideas to people. They'll tell you, let me think about it. And when they tell you they're thinking about it, what are you doing? I had a conversation with someone last week. The same day they told me that they will give me feedback, a week later, I found a solution that was better than their solution they were going to give me. That has made me realize, number one, these are my closing remarks. Number one, you never stop learning as an entrepreneur. So what you read will build you. If you hate reading, then leave that business world. It's not for you. Because business needs people who also read. Reading what? You need to read documents well. You need to read emails well. You need to read, even researching the ideas that you're doing. You need to do that well. There are two things that you need to remember. It's either you give a result or an excuse. So in life, whatever decision you're going to make, just know the answer you are giving when you open your mouth, whatever it is, maybe it's to wash dishes at home, maybe it's to run a business, maybe it's to partner with someone. Always remember, before I speak, ask yourself, is this an excuse or a result? Or a result. If you are not doing what needs to be done or what you're being asked, that's an excuse. It doesn't matter what you're saying. Even if you're saying you'll do it later, it's an excuse. A result is being able to be asked, can we go out for lunch? Yes, that's doing it. If you say, let me check my calendar, it's an excuse. You can't give me a response now. By the time you come back, I'll have found someone else to go on lunch with. As simple as that. So I've told you a few things. Because of time, I don't have enough time to tell you a lot. But what I want you to know is if you make the right decisions and you take good risks, and you associate yourself with the right people, and you love the people within your communities, you'll make money. Thank you for being a beautiful audience. Champ, I have to go. Yeah?